I won't move to it because you can only have one browser open at a time, like in.
Oh, that's not
QuickBooks
correct. I have it like, at least when I use it for other clients, like, multiple windows to just pivot back and forth.
People have told me it doesn't work that way, so I'm not moving.
Experienced that, but like, obviously the district is more complex than like the
Yeah.
HOA.
Yeah.
But. You really into it is,
And you are good to go.
I design with the user convenience. Their own agendas.
Yeah.
Great subscriptions where you're now like locked in every year.
Okay, are we ready?
Oh, Mary's on Zoom, okay. Oh, it's Nick.
Yes, I'm here.
Is Nick joining us?
Should be.
Yeah.
But
Did anyone tell him that we were moving, it was a public hearing, we're gonna start at 5?
emails. They didn't call him, but he was on all the emails. On my phone. Do we need him for the budget?
Oh, it might be good to have.
He also has
I
like.
mean, I've had my crash course over the 2 weeks.
I wonder if it's the second Wednesday, if that also.
Oh, maybe so.
That's very possible.
Because normally he's already on.
That's fine.
Can you guys hear me? This is Diane.
We can.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I have no recording, so. We're good to go whenever you want. Unless you
Yeah.
wanna wait until Nick's on.
I texted him, I mean, he could join.
I mean, he can join at any time.
Okay. Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. This is the Solid Waste Special Service District meeting for Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. My name is Colin Topper. I'm the chair. If we could go around and just introduce ourselves. Ashley, do you want to start us out?
Yeah, Ashley Wareham, board member.
Chris Scoville, district manager.
Lily Houghton, administrative manager.
Mike Dunaway, board member.
Jessica Thacker, district clerk.
Mary McGann.
Diane Ackerman, board member.
Mary McGann, board member treasurer.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any citizens to be heard?
I don't see any.
Nothing? Okay, then moving on to the treasurer.
Excuse me, one moment.
Yes.
Last year, I think it's important, did we once again put a notice outside on the main, where people go, that says the meeting is here? Is the gate open so people can come in? I think it's really important.
Walk through, not drive through.
And we would probably have to do that by 6 for the public hearing, or do we want to do that now? We might have time in between.
I mean, I can go and make a sign for it, but it'll take a minute because I don't believe I'm set up to that computer or to that printer in that office.
Oh,
I'm only set up to.
You could just write it. You wouldn't have to make an official one, just say,
Yeah, I can do that.
It did clearly state on the Utah Public Meeting website, I always put the address of 2295 South Highway 191 with administrative building, through the gate on the right, is always how I put the address.
I know you did, but the people don't read. I mean, it's just, this is recycle, not trash, but anyway, it's just, I don't want it. I just think we need to make sure, and we can do it later.
Got it. Jessica, does it work better to blast through the regular meeting and then?
Yeah, y'all can do whatever you want since it's recording and.
Okay, you don't need to be, okay, got it. Okay,
All right, the treasurer's report. All right, so November was a larger month with expenses. Since we operate on biweekly payroll, we have 26 payrolls a year, so 2 months out of the year have 3 payrolls. November was one of those months this year. It had 3. So this also captured more invoices, with the first payroll in November being on November 1st. That was 2 weeks of October expenses that were paid in November. So that's one reason why it's slightly higher. Payroll expenses were $374,382.03. But payroll is holding steady around 90,000. But we do have, again, temporary labor. So we will see an increase in expenses for that. We had 1 new employee loan issued. Operations expenses were $247,717.36. So this is about 100,000 more than October. So again, part of that was the 3 payrolls, which captured some of October's expenses. The expenses were more. They were, not quite $28,000, but again, since we're seeing some of October's expenses paid this month. Vehicle repair and maintenance was higher. It was 106,000. So there have been large expenses for equipment repair and rentals. Also included in this was the yearly lease for the medium wheel loader, which was about $29,000. And then we had modifications to the 2 new Freightliner trucks, which came out to about $40,000. And let's see, we also had we also had 2 payments to the. Are you all right, Mary?
I
Okay.
just dropped something. I'll turn on, sorry.
No worries. But yeah, and so 2 payments to the PTIF fund at $108,000 each makes up the $839,124.67 for the month of November.
I have a couple questions
Yeah.
on this before we go for a motion.
Mhm.
The vehicle repair and maintenance, does that include the $29,000?
No.
Okay, so that's straight vehicle repair and maintenance.
Yeah, there was a large payment, I think of $52,000 to Wheeler Cat for, I think, what was it, the motor grader, and
So that's what we approved last month. So that wasn't on last month's expenditures for repair and
because it
maintenance.
was paid, and the invoice was received and paid in November.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I am personally very concerned about the repair and maintenance. I'm sure you understand this.
Mhm.
When I first came to this meeting just to observe, we were at 50,000 and I about freaked then. We're double. I'd like to work with you guys a little more and just see what do we have for a plan to get that under control.
Yeah, and that's one of my top priorities going into next year,
Awesome.
because there's so many different ways, different models that we can run things, and the budget comes from taking it away from repair and maintenance and just putting it into something that works, rather than just keeping, because what the problem is we're in this death spiral where we just keep fixing stuff just to go out, just to come back to fix again. I mean, we're fixing, stuff that should be taken out of commission anyways.
If it helps slightly, I did include 3 payments. They're just under $12,000 for it was dumpster repair in there for because it's not technically a vehicle, but it is repair and maintenance. Perhaps it should have been under facilities.
There is a container repair and maintenance line.
Do we have that as a line item?
Yeah.
Okay, in the past, LJ always, just going off of previous history, it was always like fuel and vehicle repair and maintenance, but yes, so $12,000 we could take out. And let me look at the others. The others were, the main one was Wheeler Cat was 58,000. And it all just slowly adds up. Peterbilt was about $8,000, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at that. It quickly adds up very, very quickly. 30 days and bam, we're at over 100 grand.
But again, it is those 3 payroll cycles. So we're getting half of October in with the month of November. So it's kind of 45 days that we're looking at for this.
So I guess I'm just looking at repair and maintenance, the 100,000. Does that include any payroll in there?
No, that's
No,
just,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just parts and supplies to repair stuff, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but just how we do our invoice cycles, we only do accounts payable with payroll, so every other week, and 3 days happen to fall in November, so that's why it's kind of a big month.
Oh, the big bottom line chunk, yeah, yeah, I understand that, yes,
Excellent.
okay.
Was the Freightliner truck modification in that 106? That was separate now too.
Separate also.
So to me, it looks like it's just various parts and supplies to put on and repair machines, trucks, and dumpsters
Yeah.
And
and-
equipment.
and equipment.
There was another large one, the inland truck, for just over 12,000, and we have had a few large credit memos of about 4,000 come in that aren't captured in this.
Probably some quarters return. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, so what we're looking at, if we take out the dumpsters at 12,000 and another 4 for the returns from inland truck, $16,000 less, so it gets at least below 100.
Yeah,
It's sizable.
yeah, it's still
Mhm.
rounding double. I mean, we're looking at double, so anyway, I'd like to,
And really, I mean, it's more than just the cost too. It's the downtime. This doesn't include the labor that goes into the repairs. I mean, so that number is pretty significant, and that's part of what I'll be discussing a little bit later.
perfect, yeah, yeah, like I said, I'd like to
Mhm.
work with you guys more on that, because I do agree, it is more than just getting the part here. I mean, you have to pay extra labor on and on and on.
Yeah.
So you're understanding that, so,
Mhm.
okay,
Thank you, Ashley.
thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I make a motion to approve, probably saying that wrong, $839,124.67 for the month of November expenditures.
It works, yeah.
I second.
Okay, show of hands, all in favor? Mary?
Aye, yes,
Aye.
yes.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, moving on to, reports from board and staff. Chris, do you want to start us out?
Yes. So I guess I'll just kind of pick up from where I left off and kind of address some of these things. Is what I wanted to do was create basically that kind of goes along with the budget, is to create an operations plan that gives us a direction for the next year. And kind of what I've found out is I'll go through some of the modeling as I made, is my plan was to kind of set up models separate from the accounting. Like if I were to just take a job to, create a landfill, and I'm going to go separate and just give an estimate on how much it should cost us to operate these different facilities. The issue I came across was my models weren't necessarily structured the same way as Nick's with the budget. So since Nick was here last time, I've actually did a deep dive, and and if Nick comes on, I mean, he was super helpful going through everything. So what I'm going to kind of switch to do is basically create the models that I'm creating around the budget. So there's actual numbers to compare. And I just talked to these guys a little bit earlier. So kind of what I found out I was doing is I was kind of comparing apples to oranges here. And if I just take what's already structured rather than, and the reason why I did that is I just didn't have access to the budget. That wasn't part of my job. My job was operations director, was just to run operations. So that being said, I'll just kind of put a pin in that and come back to it. What I'll go over first is basically some action items that I think will help improve the district going into next year. I'll start with administrative. Obviously, and even if you look, and I'll try to reference to some of our priority lists. Last year, as of January, I labeled the AMCS as probably our highest priority. We spent a lot of money lot of time. And in fact, at this moment, we're kind of beholden, so to a system that it doesn't work. They have all of our data. It would be such a chore to try to start over again. So the last I'd say over about a week, we've actually made some progress. I was able to get in touch with some different people that are different than our project managers, who you guys are now on the fourth project manager trying to get this thing. I did also, in doing a little bit of deep dive, so we started our contract with them, started September 30th, 2022. So we just finished our third year. We're in our third year. With no resolutions. Let me get my thoughts here, sorry. So in discussing with this, and I'm not even sure what his title is, he's some kind of a sales director for North America. We basically sat down and come up with a plan moving forward that contains three things. So we have an outstanding bill upwards of $172,000. We have software that doesn't work, and we don't have access to our data. We are currently working with the engineers and our local IT things. We are going to get our data locally backed up. So if this does not work out, we have access to our data. He's assigned me a special project manager that's going to oversee the project manager that's currently working with Lily and Savannah. And we're going to have bi-monthly check-ins to make sure that, because we also, on top of everything, we have 22 outstanding support tickets that, for the most part, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, basically have to do with billing. And if you remember, I've talked about that was one of the hurdles as we were going forward, if taking over the billing from the city, that if we can't get this done, it's going to be, the consequences are pretty dire. I think it's improved a little bit, but I've been promised that, so basically what they're trying to do over the next little while is clear out those 22 tickets, and then they'll give me kind of access to a supervisor that's going to go over their project manager. So we'll check in a week before billing and a week after billing to make sure, one, that everything from the previous billing cycle got taken care of, and then after the billing cycle, if there's any new issues that came up. And there has been movement. We haven't had any concrete numbers, but there is talks about they're willing to start talking about negotiating some of the costs that's associated. I mean, we've kind of been here before, so I don't want to get too, but I feel like we've kind of made more progress than I've been involved with. Anyways, I haven't really been involved a whole lot with AMCS. But I mean, and Lily can maybe address this. I think that, this conversation I've had over the last week has been pretty, it's gone in a good direction. Other administrative things. So we just had a 2-hour meeting today with the HR. We've mentioned that before. This third-party HR. She has set up a timeline for us over the next year to implement all kinds of, and I use the term HR kind of loosely here. I mean, she's down from organizational structures to job descriptions, to basically, because I mean, basically the end result is we've had people working here at the district without job descriptions or directions. I mean, it's hard to run an efficient organization without people knowing what they need to do in order to kind of work as the group and be accountable for those. I mean, and I think that's just, that itself is going to create huge efficiencies going through in that group. I've gotten most of the manager jobs descriptions. I just need Lily, they're kind of still in rough draft things, but we're gonna try to get all those implemented by the first quarter of next year. I know that we had talked about when we had our meeting before about moving people from salary to hourly. That's part of the concept that goes in effect January 1st. with their new job descriptions, with their new job offers, and the whole intent there is just to kind of reinforce the contract between the employee and the employer. So basically what I'm gonna do is here is just kind of go down and hit some action items on the different facilities. So that was for administrative. The Moab landfill, we just, in fact, today got back. So I think it was end of August, beginning of September, we had another survey. It was to help us with end of life. So basically, once a year, I have Red Desert Surveys go up there and runs the drone, and he tells me how much we cut and how much we filled. Given that, then you take the volumes that are incoming, and it gives us a predicting of end of life.
Mary's got her hand raised.
Oh, okay. Mary?
Mary?
Unmute. Okay, just a quick question. What was the organization you're working with that is helping you? I forgot.
The Red Desert Survey
Red
Or-
Desert.
For the HR,
for
for the
the HR, Mary, or for the?
Yeah, for the HR.
it's called Expedition HR.
Say that again, please.
Expedition HR.
Thank you. Sorry, I will put my hand back down. Is it down?
It
Yeah,
is,
put it
thanks,
down.
Mary.
So the new surveys are looking a little bit better. The new prediction is 2029, as far out as 2033. Now I can do some things internally that can even extend that farther. There's just some costs associated. So that's one of those things. As we start to get closer, we need to do some kind of a cost analysis and an evaluating, because really the closure of Moab, as you know, we've discussed in the past, directly affects the transfer station, which is already at capacity. Absolutely. The other thing that we've done with both Moab and Klondike is have recalculated our post-closure financial assurances. They haven't been done since I'm not sure when. I know that when I became involved, I was just taking, so there's a number, and then every year the Department of Environmental Quality issues inflation factor, and you take that number, apply it to the inflation factor, and that's how much you're supposed to have in a restricted fund to pay for closure, post-closure. Now, these haven't been done in so long. I was worried that the number was going to be drastically higher than what we is, and yes, of course it is. And so what I'm doing is I'm looking in, because we have a partnership with the city and the county, there's actually some processes that we can go through where we don't necessarily have to have 100% of it in the bank, because we have partners in it.
That makes sense, yeah.
So that's something that I'll work in over the next year to try to get it. Some of it out of Klondike, as we're expanding our cell. That's basically that increases the cost. So as soon as I expand that cell, now we also have to have closure, post-closure for that new open cell. So we may have to go back and start closing parts of the landfill to decrease the financial assurance. So that was Moab, Klondike landfill. As you know, we've been constructing cell 5, working with engineers, getting us construction plans. The cell's pretty much done. We had a little bit of a setback because we decided our initial things that the engineers came back and decided that it would fill up in 30 months. And we thought, going through all this work, it didn't make sense to just do it for 30 months. So I had them expand it to give us a 5-year window, so we're kind of making adjustments, but the goal is to submit all the documentations and apply for the permit January 15th. I'm sure this will be back and forth, and so really the goal would be to open it up end of summer of 2025. The financial assurance, basically the same thing there. The recycle center. So this year, the Recycle Coalition of Utah is holding in their annual event in Moab. So we will be kind of the center of attention for a lot of recycling bigwigs in Moab. I have recently met with, her name is Kim, and she used to work over for the City of Grand Junction's Recycling Center. That's, I mean, she knows a lot about recycling. When I first started, I toured her facility over there, and really a lot of the things that I initially learned about recycling were from her. So I've been working with her. So I guess my take on this is every budget season, the recycle center kind of comes on the block. Like if we have to choose something to go in order for us to keep, you know, our kind of more mandated operations, obviously the recycle center would be one of those things that we would have to seriously look at. Now I have a little bit different take on it. Because if you look at the location of the recycle center, the fact that we pay, I think $1 a year for that facility, just the location, if we end up closing, or when we close Moab landfill, I mean, logistically, it's going to be important to try to kind of de-escalate our closing of Moab landfill. So I don't think that we necessarily want to give up that property right now, unless it you know, it's just kind of life or death for some of these other programs. But that being said, I really want to look at the recycle center and basically try to reinvigorate it, try to get some more enthusiasm going on it, and with the end result of trying to reduce the cost that it costs us to run it with increasing some of the revenues. And it's never going to be a revenue center. It's always going to operate at a loss. I have no illusions of that, but there's some efficiencies that we can do moving forward that I think they will help justify keeping it open. And I think it deserves a kind of one last little effort to see what we can do with there. One of the contacts that Kim has placed me in is a company called Replenish. And for sake of trying to describe what they are, they're almost like an Uber recycle. So they have, it basically creates this huge network in the entire United States on how to get rid of commodities. I've talked in the past on, you know, there is some money to be made in commodities. It's just the problem that we have here is that we don't have the quantities to be able to put them on a market in such a way that we can get any kind of return on them. And that's what this Replenish does. It connects smaller people, it connects routes, it connects trucks. Everything is open and transparent in it. And there might be opportunities working with the parks to increase recycling quantities. I know recently San Juan County has asked for some resources on trying to get rid of some of their recycling things, so we could maybe partnership with them. In the past, Green River's done the same thing. So I think there might be an opportunity if we just put a little bit of effort into it that we can basically reduce the losses that we're taking at the recycle center. The other thing is in our interlocal agreement, we're supposed to be collecting glass. Right now, because there is no place to put glass, there is a lot of glass coming up to the drop off. And basically what it's doing is start filling up. So about once a month, we send a truck up to Salt Lake with mixed commodities in it. What's happening now is we're getting such a load of glass that we're shipping trucks of glass up to Salt Lake. That's at a huge financial loss to us. I mean, we're not even getting some of the commodities that pay. Glass does not pay. So we really need to kind of be proactive with this glass thing and put some drop offs out there and be able, so the difference is how we collect it. So right now we collect it in Gaylord boxes and it's got to go into the trailer. When what we had figured out in the past, that if we can collect the in roll-off containers, then that gives us another route to be able to collect the glass, be able to store the glass, and once we reach a certain quantity, they'll come pick it up for free. So we no longer are burdened, because right now we're just shipping it up and we're paying for it. So if we can figure out a better way to collect it, and we've already figured out the logistics of it. We just need to put it into play, and we need to pull the glass drop off the drop off up at the center and put a roll off in there so we can start collecting it in the right container so we can be able to handle it. Because with the roll offs, we can treat them like a dump truck.
Yeah.
So rather than a forklift and this Gaylord and then trying to, handle them through there, we'll collect the glass
And Monument can work with roll-offs when they
uh,
come to pick it up.
well,
Is that who
so-
picks it up?
yeah, Momentum.
Momentum.
And what they'll do is they're gonna send down a truck and we'll just run it in the same hole as we load our trucks with. So I'll store them in 40 gallon or 40 cubic yard containers.
Got it.
And I think I figured out the tonnage, and I think it was barely one container is what they would need.
Okay.
So we can just put the one container where we actually used to collect our single stream and hold it there. Once we reach a certain quantity, we call them up and then they come down and pick it for free.
Got it.
So, I mean, I know that, we were kind of holding off on trying to do this, but I think it's affecting us. Just because there's, must be a lot of people that are still really, pushing forward to try to recycle glass, and we need to be proactive in that.
I have a question, or a clarification more than a question. So the roll-off will be at the recycle center?
Yes.
Okay,
And it will be right up with all the other, basically we have, super sacks that are contained are just held up by little skeleton containers that we hang the super sacks up. We'll just kind of readjust that and put it on the end of a line so that a truck can come up and grab it.
Got it.
and then, I just went through it. So, and then, so we will see sort separating our glass and color, or will,
No, so I've talked to Momentum. They don't care if it's sorted or not. I know we've been really hesitant. It's just kind of a thing in the recycling world. Once you kind of train a community to do certain things a certain way, you want to be really careful because it's hard to go back. So, we've kind of known it for a little while that we can put it all, but we weren't sure exactly what we were gonna do with it. And just in case there was, other options or something, we didn't want to get rid of the separation of colors in the glass. But I've got verifications that we can put it all in the same container.
Okay.
And this will make it way easier when we try to do, once the city figures out a location and stuff, that it's just can all go into one container.
so, we will cease the sort separated. What's, do you have an estimated date as when this is going to happen?
I would like to see it before, by the end of this year, so that it'll be implemented in basically the first of next year.
Okay, thank you.
January.
That's good news. Thank you.
And the other thing I have down there is just to review our universal waste and our e-waste. And, we had all these things over at the recycle center. And I remember part of the reason why we were trying to implement these other programs in the recycle center like that was just to add some more viability or more, I'm not sure what the term is, more worth for the recycle center. We've ended up moving the HHW over here, and if we end up moving the universal waste and the e-waste over here, I think it puts less of a labor burden over on the recycle center, because there won't be any cash or anything, so it'll kind of reduce operational costs. Okay, on to transfer station. So starting January 1st at the transfer station, I'm going to start a traffic study, basically just purchasing the traffic counters. We'll actually do one at the recycling center as well. But as we start to get closer to the closure of Moab, it's not just the volumes we have to be concerned about. It's the amount of traffic that's coming through. And I mean, just this little gate right here, I mean, it's like a choke point for traffic coming in and out of here. And we increase volumes, we're not gonna be able to do it. I don't know if you sit here and you watch the interaction with the actual transfer station over there, we get in some pretty precarious situations that basically a better traffic pattern, better, organization of the flow of traffic, I think will go a long ways. And we're going to need to anyways, start collecting these data, as we go to expand the transfer station. That's just one of the requirements that's gonna be, as far as permitting or expanding a transfer station. Yeah, and basically start the planning for the expansion and start figuring out how this is actually gonna work. I mean, we need to start now. I mean, it was pretty daunting when we thought Moab's closing was in 2028. We might have a couple years, but one major construction can drastically change all that. I mean, yes.
We have another raised hand.
Oh, yeah, sorry, just call it out. Who's ever has a question, go ahead.
Mary, did you have another question? Nope, guess not.
Okay. Yeah, if you guys have a question, stop me. I just got a list of stuff here that, expansion, yeah, so, I mean, this is stuff that really people take years to plan. I mean, this isn't something that you can throw together. I mean, we need to be really forward looking on here. One, because of the cost that's gonna be associated. So we already have this huge burden with our bond. And now we're gonna, in order to be able to incorporate all the volumes from Moab, we're gonna incur more costs from our expansion. So we need to spend the time needed to be able to figure this out. So that's gonna start this year.
Chris,
Yeah.
it's not ideal, but like we could have people take their waste to Klondike if there's a little bit of a gap between Moab closing and you guys getting set up.
So that's definitely a possibility. I would have to look into, so Klondike itself is not open to the public.
Oh, okay.
We are, I believe that's a class 5 landfill, so we might have to change, the classification of our landfill. I'm not too sure, so, anything I say now, don't, but so that's a major permit modification, so that'll take some time. In the past, they've also were worried about running traffic out there on the highway, making a left-hand turn
Yeah,
there.
seems
So
dangerous.
that was, I mean, there was a couple reasons why the franchise won. One was to protect the hauler in town when it was a private hauler. Because you wanted the hauler to have some type of, where somebody else just couldn't come in. I mean, there's infrastructure here, the community relies on their trash being picked up. So by having it closed to the public, it kind of, whoever was the hauler at the time kind of had that protections. So somebody else couldn't come in and just set up shop and shut them down and maybe then pick up and leave, and all of a sudden there's disruptions. So there was a little bit of that involved in, if that makes sense, what I was trying to describe there.
They did actually attempt to do a class 5 permitting, I want to say the last 2 or 3 permit reiterations, back when Deborah Barton was still manager, and I think the requirements, the permitting requirements at the time was just too much.
Well,
But it was just the district at the time.
right, and I mean, and some of it is, you have to understand, our volumes are so low that we barely classify it as a landfill. I mean, we're just right on the cusp, so that might be some type of, there might be some type of, volume requirement before you open up to the public, but it's definitely something that we'll look into.
Yeah, I mean, you know this, but yeah, 2029 is, I mean, 3 years away. And then that comment you said about like a major construction project, shortening it more. Like,
Well, and it's, I mean, I've been making a big deal of this for a while, and we
Yeah.
kind of had a special, like, awakening with the board at the beginning of the year, that it's like, hey, you know, I can't just keep talking about it like this, it's impending.
Right.
And there are some things, and this is why I think that the location of that land at the recycle center, the, you know, staging of equipment, staging of containers. If that closed down, there might be some opportunities possibly for expansion up there. But do we want to invest money? All these questions need to be asked moving forward, because you're right, in reality, building this we should have been started planning this 5 years ago, if not more. I mean, as soon as, like, there was talks of that place closing back when, I first started here. Now, granted, the transfer station was a privately owned thing, and it changed once we, acquired Monument Waste. It basically became our problem.
I think another thing to keep in mind when we start sending people out there, is the public sector, the private sector, sorry. The cost of building homes is gonna go up. Everything's gonna go
Yeah.
up because you're trucking clear out there for your waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's more than just taking stuff to the landfill. I mean, the dollar amount for everything is gonna raise because people have to now take it clear out there. And can your guys' road handle all the traffic in and out of there? I think there's a lot more to it than.
Yeah, well, there would have to
Yeah.
be an increased infrastructure. And one of the reasons why we're not open to the public now is the liability. If you going out there, and I would welcome a tour to go out there. I mean, there are some things are not safe for the public out there. So,
Absolutely not. And like you touched on that highway right there, will the state make you put in a turning lane? I mean, you've got.
well, there is a turning lane.
There is
There is a
one out
turning
there.
lane, but it's still, I mean, it's
An approach
difficult.
and all the things.
Yeah, well, and yeah. And it's, and yeah, so to your point, I mean, we're behind on this, and this is why, you know, it's important for us to really keep this on the radar, because, you know, time's gonna fly by, and one big major demolition. I mean, I remember when we first opened up that our new excavation site there, it was just when the middle school was demoed. And yeah, and we were like, oh,
That's
because
small.
we went across, we have basically a fill process where we go across and back and forth, and it takes us about a season to make it across. I mean, we went back and forth a few times, and we were just like, oh, okay, so, you know, our 15 years is definitely not 15 years now.
I do want to make a note that it is 5:42.
Oh, okay, I was supposed to go through this really quick.
Just wanted to let you know, we have.
But there's a lot, so, and I didn't even get to touch on, so real quick. So basically what I'm doing is I'm making models. For example, with the garbage collection. So basically I make these models, I program them into multiple AI sites, and basically run real life scenarios through them, and they kick back the answers, and then I put them down, and then I, you know, go through them and give the reality filter to them. So with the garbage collection and trying to rent, because we're talking about renting to next year. So I did 3 scenarios: continue as we are, rental, but then taking the R&M, and I basically calculated the labor on the R&M, the downtime, the overtime hours for the collection things, and added that in. And the best scenario that it came out with was actually financing a new fleet. So we can roll the R&M and high cost into financing a new fleet. Now, this is like very high end and stuff, but that kind of same scenario can be rolled in a lot of cases. Like if we can consolidate the district, all the savings that we get from the different facilities can be rolled into expanding the transfer station. So I'll stop there. I was kind of trying to get there. I thought I was gonna go through this a lot quicker. I apologize.
Great, good work, Chris.
So, and what we're gonna try to do is, have one of those meetings that was in between the transfer station that I can get down into the nitty gritty of some of this stuff. So I know you were involved in before, and just with your experience, I would like for you to attend if you can.
Yes, absolutely.
Lily, you have about 30 seconds.
Am I good to start? Are there questions for Chris?
Thanks for your work.
Yeah, great.
I've been with the district 1 year as of yesterday, and I think we're in a better position today than we were at this time last year. I don't think this is because of me. I think it's teamwork. I think we would have gotten there. And the staff has put in a lot of effort to make this work, especially, huge shout out to Savannah and her work with, AMCS. She's done a lot of heavy lifting. And she's also accepted the position of office and dispatch supervisor, which alleviates me directly supervising the customer service representative staff, which I think will be great. Currently we're in open enrollment. I did add a benefit this year of an employee assistance program. So about $2,000 for the entire year. Staff will have access to this program. They can get up to 3 free counseling sessions, financial planning assistance, as well as legal advice. I thought that was worth it. We're on track for the 2025 bond payment. We printed a check to the PTIF fund this payroll run. If we send that off, we'll have 9 payments this year, which is $976,000. Plus, I paid for most of the equipment expenses as cash, which adds up to about $179,000. So we're over the $1 million there. If we withhold that check that we just issued to pay AMCS, with that $179,000, we're still at $1 million, which is the goal. I think it's just over $800,000 is due for the bond payment in May. So that's wonderful. Accounts receivable is getting better. Just looking at the bank balances on the November statements from 2023 to 2024, it's a substantial difference. We're in a much better place. We still have a ways to go with AMCS, but just comparing the accounts receivable and just that we're able to successfully bill and people are receiving their invoices is huge. And then looking ahead to 2025, one of my main things with, as Chris was talking about with the HR, is redoing the employee handbook. Chris and I did kind of draft a new proposed employee loan program and proposed employee reimbursement program, but rather than piecemealing it, we think that these would be better to just do in bulk with the handbook, which I have a goal to bring to the board in the April meeting. And it would be legally reviewed since we're a public entity. That's all I got.
Awesome, Lily. Thank you. Jessica.
I really don't have that much. I've been doing just a lot of odds and ends, administrative tasks, drafted all the resolutions, redoing the fee schedules for 2025, doing bits and pieces here on the old and new websites. I haven't made too much progress, unfortunately, on the grant, but that'll be my priority next week. We did move forward. I can't remember if I reported in the previous meeting, but I did submit the notice of intent to apply to the grant, which is again going to be it's not a MRF in the true sense of a MRF, but it's a materials recovery facility that is going to be put in tandem with the transfer station. Is there anything else? I really can't think of anything other than I've just been doing a lot of odds and ends administrative tasks.
Jessica, I need this.
It's basically.
Find it.
So is this grant, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
No.
is this grant the one that's due next Friday? Okay, I know when I'm working on big projects, it's like crunch time. Do you need extra help? I mean, I don't know if I can even ask that, but do you need extra help or close your door, turn the phone off? the
It's
computer, close the
definitely gonna be
blinds?
one of those close the door, turn the phone
Cause I
off sort
think
of deals.
this is an important grant, and so I just don't want us to miss it.
No, I mean, I have every intention of applying for it or for applying. It's just, I wanted to get the really important things like making sure we had our resolutions publicly noticed and fully drafted out, that all the numbers on there were correct, because, you know, we could get pinged by the state, and I wanted to make sure that we were solid on that front. So now that all of this is done and taken care of, I can focus completely on that for the next week. So,
Are there other people involved in this? I just know
it's
Murphy's
just-
Law, and
it's
it's
just-
like you catch the flu and you're out 2 days and you're screwed.
you know, it's just
so
me.
it's- Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm a
Does
one
he
woman
need
department.
more help? I mean, I don't.
Well, I'll get you the numbers for basically the model.
Yeah.
The cost associated with the model. that
I,
we're creating.
I can write up a storm, I just cannot provide the financials. So that's Chris's expertise.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Yeah.
I can be happy to review it if you want help. Right.
Please. Any other eyes than my eyes would be great, because I'm recovering from a very severe sinus infection, so my brain has not been great lately. I've been dealing with a week-long headache. So, yeah, any eyes would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
That's all.
Okay.
And Nick is still not here, so we can move on. to
Yeah.
reports.
Board reports, I don't have anything. Ashley,
I don't have anything. I do want to tell all you guys that you're doing great. Savannah, that's awesome. She's moving up, and even all the employees, because I know they all watch. So you guys are doing a great job. Thumbs up. I know we don't interact with you or anything, but you take care of our community and your work matters. So don't forget that.
very well said. Thank you.
Here.
Mike,
No report.
okay. Diane,
I don't have anything.
okay, Mary,
I just want to have a shout out also to the staff. And I also want to mention that Ashley, I'm really excited you're on the board. Your comments and what you're bringing to the board has been needed for a while. And thank you. Thank you for stepping up to the plate and serving the community as a board member. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mary.
what do we want to do? Do we want to go into old business? Do we want to?
I mean, we've got 9 minutes that we could
We could hammer out
bang
some
these
stuff.
out.
Okay,
Yeah.
how about we start with, discussion and potential adoption of resolution 2024-1201, authorize district manager as an emergency signer.
So I wrote this one up. We had discussed it previously. This was just kind of applying more of a framework and limits to it. So I wrote under certain emergency circumstances, such as an employee termination where wages are due to staff member within 24 hours of the termination, the district manager could act as a signature on checks issued from solid waste payroll bank account. This privilege would be limited to the following restrictions. The nature of the situation must be an emergency in nature, requiring prompt payment. Only one board member was available to sign, as we do require 2 signers per check, and the dollar amount of the payment was less than $5,000.
Do we have any discussion? Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2024-1201. Adoption of the authorization of the district manager as an emergency signer on the district's payroll bank account.
I second.
Okay, all in favor? Mary Diane?
Yes, yes.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, thank you. Moving on to E, discussion and adoption of 2025 observed holiday and facility closure schedules.
So this has been reviewed previously. It's still keeping the same number of holidays, just instead of a floating holiday, giving the day after Christmas as a holiday since it falls on a Friday. It just needs to be approved by the board.
I motion to approve the proposed 2025 observed holidays and facilities closures for solid waste district service district 1, number 1.
I
Thank-
second.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Ashley. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, look at us go. Moving on to F, this is discussion and adoption of the 2025 Solid Waste Special Service District Administrative Control Board meeting schedule.
Yeah, so it's sticking with our usual meeting date of the third Wednesday of every month, except for December, moving it to the second Wednesday.
Motion to approve the 2025 proposed administrative control board regular meeting dates schedule.
I second.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Ashley. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, G, discussion and approval of 2024 fraud risk assessment.
So this is something we have to do every year as part of our audit. Our audit happens in May. They brought up that we did not have one for 2023. So that was approved at a previous board meeting. We were in the high risk category at that time. I had hoped to have the employee manual revised to lower our risk. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to revise the handbook or SOPs, but we're at least in the moderate risk category right now. This is something we do every year just as an internal assessment that has to go over at a board meeting. Are there any questions about this? I'm hoping to get us into the low category next year.
I have a comment and I'm trying to find where I read it on my phone when you sent the packet on my computer.
Mhm.
Something about two different people reviewing payroll and submitting payroll. I want to stress the importance of that and I can help you come up with a plan.
Yeah.
People can get around that. I have seen it and it's costly and I would really like to see that change to it. Yes, we have two separate people doing that.
I'd love to hear it.
Okay.
Currently it's just Savannah and I that are the ones that physically the board approves the packet, but I have to, just with our deadlines to have payday be on the day it's supposed to be, I have to submit it before it's approved by Jessica or Chris.
Is that what that means? Submit it before it's actually approved from the board? Okay,
Is my interpretation of this.
okay.
Yeah.
I interpreted it a little bit different, but that's okay. We can look into it later, see if we can
Yeah.
approve.
Would love to chat.
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay, I would entertain a motion if there's not any other discussion. Hey, Nick.
Well, just had one item related to that on number 3A. I do have a bachelor's degree in accounting, so that may
Oh,
Yeah.
that would
get
move
an
us
extra.
down quite a bit.
Yeah.
I am sorry, I was told no one had that. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
You're welcome.
There we go.
Okay,
Motion to approve the fraud risk assessment. For 2024.
I second that.
okay, any discussion? Hey, all in favor?
Aye.
There we go.
Okay. Okay, thank you, everybody. Do we need a motion to go into public hearing?
We will at 6.
At 6, okay. Okay, so it looks like we've got a couple minutes and,
Guess we just keep going because it's only 2 minutes till 6, so I'm just going to mute the audio, keep the live stream and recording going. And then at 6 o'clock, we will motion to open public hearing.
Gosh, you're like 5 points away from low.
And we will be there now with
I'm not able to hear you guys. This is Diane. Mary, can you hear them?
No, I think they have it on mute right now, waiting. I don't know what's happened.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they cut out and I'm not hearing a thing.
I will, we can't hear you?
I just unmuted you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's almost time for the public hearing. I just put it on mute. There's no point in stopping the meeting. So it's just like a brief pause.
So are we through with all the action? Yes.
Yes. We're done with the action items for the
Yeah,
regular.
Good job. Good job. I didn't think we were gonna make it.
All right, 6 o'clock, let's go.
Okay, 6 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and call to order this public hearing. Do I need to do anything else, Jessica?
You're gonna, Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, but we motioned to open the public hearing for citizens input, correct?
Yes, yes. Am I unmuted? Yes. Open it. Go for public input. I think we have to wait 10 minutes, maybe 15, and then we can vote on the thing. We don't have to keep it open for a week like you do in the county. And I think you have to in the city too. But we can vote on it
I
tonight.
would entertain a-
15 minutes.
I would entertain a motion
That says,
that
Open the public
to
hearing.
open the public comment. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for comments, on the 2025 budget.
Just on, discussion and adoption of, 2025 resolutions. Or 2024 resolutions for 2025
Which are the budgets?
and fee schedules.
Okay,
I know that's very.
a mouthful. Let me know what I missed.
So I guess, motion to open public hearing for public comment for the 2025 proposed budget, 2025 proposed fee schedules
And other resolutions.
and other resolutions.
I'd like to make a motion to open, for public hearing for discussion and adoption of 2024 resolutions and 2025
Proposed 2025 budget,
proposed 2025 budget,
proposed 2025 fee schedules
proposed 2025 fee schedules
and other
And-
related resolutions.
and other related resolutions.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. Yeah. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Mike. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, public comment is open.
Do we have any public?
There's no public. I have not checked the SWS.
I will check it right now.
Email. It's like 3:30, so, but I haven't seen anything since then. I would also check the junk email because Tom's still working on that issue with the contact form.
The little red number 1 isn't something on the Zoom, is it?
It's the AI autopilot thing. It checks out randomly after a certain time. It just leaves the meeting and it gives the error message saying that it's not doing AI recording anymore.
It gets bored with us humans.
I just take the transcript from YouTube.
Oh, it's LJ. I am late. There are no emails in the junk folder or the other inbox, but there are interesting ones in the junk folder. I'm really glad I checked.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, we-
there's always something interesting happening.
We realized that, yeah.
So we're just in.
Apparently, He said he's having issues getting everything switched over because there was some major updates with Microsoft 360 and that weird nonsense that's going on with Outlook. Apparently, there's some massive disconnect between that and WordPress, like the softwares just aren't compatible anymore, so I don't know if he's gonna be able to fix that. Once the new website's in, it won't be a problem. I just don't have. Got 10 more minutes.
Does anyone want to review some of the old business that I missed?
Yeah, I can talk about it. Here's the agenda. So the resolution to adopt the district manager as an emergency center to the payroll account was approved, with the limits outlined in the resolution of $5,000.
Yeah, I read it.
Okay. The observed holiday facility closure was, that was approved, as was the board meeting schedule,
Mhm.
and the fraud risk assessment was approved, and, there is a correction I did not realize. Nick had a bachelor's in accounting,
Mhm.
which, with the numbers.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Chris gave us a very thorough board report, that's great information I can't reiterate.
Well, I was, hadn't even got started yet. It took me a while to get started.
It was just interesting, I didn't realize that about the glass with the Gaylords versus the roll-offs, and that they would be able to come down and pick it up at no expense.
Yeah,
If we were able to change the container for glass recycling.
Oh, cool.
here's a fun fact, and Nick can kind of verify, we've been back and forth on this, that, that costs the district, $3,588 per hour to operate.
Ouch.
Per hour, huh?
Per hour.
Let's turn the lights on. Right?
That's facility hours, right? Right, Chris?
Yeah.
2,400 hours is essentially, you know, a 40-hour week for a person is generally 2,080 hours a year. So facility hours is like about another couple hundred more than that. So.
Right, yeah, and what I figured out, because we also run about 7 or 8 months a year, we also run on Sunday.
Right.
So I did half a day for Saturday, and then the Sunday part of the year for Sunday.
Right.
And so, yeah, what I came up with was 2,496 hours of operations.
Were you able to find any of that information?
Yes,
Good.
yeah, and I think we've actually made some, that was part of that too. We've made some pretty good progress. I mean, got to take that with a grain of salt with AMCS, but I mean, I've had some really good correspondence. They've been corresponding really well and seem to be understand the conversation started out, or was about a week ago, that they understand why I'm trying to get our customer data. So it doesn't take I can't remember his exact term, but you know, it doesn't take very much to read between the lines why you were asking for your customer data to be locally backed up. So.
I mean, I would think, well, if it's on the server's backed up daily anyway. So,
Yeah, but it's no, it's not on our server.
okay,
It's in the AMCS cloud.
okay,
Microsoft Azure, I think, is the
okay,
cloud-based server that they have, and it's all the customer, all their address information, service agreements. I mean, it would be a nightmare to try to go back and recreate that.
right, yeah. Oh, I know, we discussed that before.
That they would have it all.
Yeah.
Been a long 15 minutes.
You guys sign checks today?
We did, yeah.
Okay, great.
You're off the hook.
I'm off the hook this
I
time.
need to get you to sign your oath of office.
I forgot to put that, I keep forgetting to put that on the agenda. Doesn't it have to be on the agenda?
But I didn't realize you were gonna be in here in person.
Let me put it as a note for next meeting. We'll get you in January.
We have to be back in California on the 15th. I'll be here for the
February.
February 19th.
February.
I'll be back in person.
Like you can still do the oath of office.
Oh, virtually?
I just need to physically have you so you can sign it.
Oh, after?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you could still do it at the January, I thought that's why we didn't do it when, cause was on Zoom when LJ did
But
that.
I think you were like out of town for a minute.
Oh,
I
we-
don't know. I mean, we did it with the resolution with Mary. Mary, at some point in time, I need you to come in and sign this resolution, please.
Oh, certainly, I can do it Monday.
Okay, brilliant.
Other things are looking good to make the TTIF payment. So far 8 checks have been deposited plus the 179,000 for equipment that was paid for as cash this year. Will get us there. I did print one more check, but we might, void that one and pay AMCS money instead.
Yeah.
And after we pass all these resolutions, I need you to sign them as well.
Doesn't he have to sign progress assessment too?
It's just, well, it's the COO and the CFO. Who are those people?
I don't know.
It was Mike and I that signed the last ones. I can look up what happened in 2022, but that was the last one that you
I'm
did.
pretty sure.
Cause I know that Mary has to sign it.
Yeah,
And I guess the COO would be the chair.
Okay.
otherwise,
Maybe
I
we
thought I
didn't do
remember.
it right. Maybe Mike and I didn't do it right, but that's what Mike told me to do with the 2023 one.
I don't have anything to do with the fraud stuff. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I'll already do that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Mary and Kaylin right before he passed.
No, on the resolution, we do actually do have to do roll calls, so. Yeah, each
Well, the chief administrative officer is defined as the person who directs the day-to-day operations of the entity. The COA is of most cities and towns, the mayor, except where the city has a city manager. The COA of most school and local special service districts is the board chair, except where the district has an appointed director. And then the COO is not defined. Or CFO, sorry.
Yeah, I know which one.
So it could be Chris and Colin. Could be good. Or, but Mary is treasurer.
Yeah, I think it was Mary always that signed.
It's just not treasurer. The two signatures listed are the chief administrator or what's
Well, if once you're here, we can go ahead and do the
Financial
administrative
officer.
officer and then the chief financial.
This
officer.
one.
I mean, that doesn't mean that that's right. It's that we always did that because that's what Evan said. We needed to do.
Yeah, I just like these definitions.
Right there.
Yeah.
I really like the way you guys redid the fee schedule. The listing on it.
Oh, Jessica.
Yeah,
I think it's
it looks,
all clear.
I thought it was Jessica, but. So that looks like Jessica.
It is me.
It looks really good.
I like that the rates did not increase. I think that's really important to us, to the public. I think that's gonna help us in the public's eye, not change the attitude or you're just government, you're just knowledge to us, so. I think that's important. I don't know if that's appropriate to bring up during this budget hearing, but there's my public comment.
I definitely think that we should mention that when we discuss them. Morgan was very helpful today.
Oh, excellent.
I called to pay my bill because for some reason, well, the app doesn't work good on my phone. And so I couldn't get in to pay. And then I got locked out. And so she sent me a password reset.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, but then she took my, I paid for it over the phone.
Well, it is 6:15. Do we have to wait till 6:16?
Nope.
And then we probably need a motion to close.
We can start doing the motions and then close the public hearing when we're ready to adjourn. But we could,
Oh, I think we are ready to close the public comment period.
yeah, we can close the public hearing.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to close the public comment period.
I'll second.
Okay.
Yours was easier than mine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we'll go through the different action items, starting with A. Discussion and adoption of resolution 2024-1202 to approve the 2025 fee structures for all Canyonland Solid Waste Authority facilities and collection services. Do we have any discussion?
Well, the only discussion is something that we just mentioned was that the fees didn't really increase. Were there any other variations that we would make a note of, or? I didn't see any, but I don't scrutinize it.
There was the addition of the 1 cubic yard pricing,
Correct.
and then there was also the addition of lost, stolen, damaged, and non-return parts, pricing.
Correct.
That's
So,
the only addition.
yeah, 1 yards were not captured in the fee increase that took effect in 2024. So to bring them up to par, 1 yard pricing is increasing. I believe there are 26 1 yard containers that we service.
And the pricing does match the intermediate net pricing for the city.
Okay. Any other discussion? We have a motion.
Motion to approve the 2025 fee structures for all Canyonland Solid Waste Authority facilities and collection services. Resolution number 2024-1202.
Thank you, Mike. We have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ashley. And so these will all be a roll call vote. So LJ,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
and Colin, yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to B. This is a discussion and adoption of resolution 2024-1203 to approve a special population discount for eligible Grant County residents. Discussion.
Must have missed that when I was reading through.
May I speak? Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this has been talked about at previous board meetings. I was going back to March, and this resolution is just more clearly defining that. I received information on the number of households this would affect from the county treasurer. It's in total, oh goodness, like 200 households. Again, it's not perfect. It would only benefit homeowners, not renters, but it is a place to start and a place where I could calculate the maximum cost it could affect to the district within these parameters, which, you know, is a good place to start. There are 87 households that are eligible for this tax abatement program within Moab City. If we only did, as written in the resolution, to affect once we pick up for either a 96-gallon cart or a 65-gallon cart and a recycle cart, that would cost $870 to maintain the previous pricing of $20 for trash and $14 for recycling. In Spanish Valley, it's 80 households. Again, moving trash from the $32 back to $26 and recycling from 18 to 14 would be $800. And then there are 14 households in Castle Valley and 6 in other, but they would all be encompassed in the rural pricing. And that would be a $200 cost, so a total of $1,870 a month. I don't know if
Lost revenue.
of lost revenue. I don't know if within the city, I assume since trash is mandated, I don't know the recycling revenue, if they all have recycling. Again, in Spanish Valley and Castle Valley, I don't know if these residents participate in our services, but this would be the maximum it would cost. If they have a 2-yard container, it wouldn't be applicable. It would just be for the residential containers once a week pickup.
Got it.
Mhm.
Any questions for Lily? Any discussion? If not, we could entertain a motion.
Motion to approve a special population discount for eligible Grand County residents.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Thank you, LJ. Okay, another roll call vote. LJ,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes,
Diane,
No,
Colin, yes.
Motion passes.
5-1. Okay, thank you. Moving on to action item C, discussion and adoption of resolution 2024-1204 to approve the 2025 administrative fee schedule for Canyonlands Solid Waste Authority. Please.
This was to be kind of in line with what other government institutions cost, or charge, such as for copies that are made. While the damaged part was also captured in the fee schedules, it wasn't previously. Also if we have to do research, and just, setting up deposits, and just other better outlining and having, administrative fees captured.
Can you give me an example of when you would have to charge for making copies or research or just curious?
Request 7 years of their history from us. I just sent them a PDF file and said, here you go, but if they asked for that printed out, just that would have been quite a number of pages. It does cost us to print things.
Absolutely.
So to just be able to, that became, in 1 year, I've had one person request that, but just so we have something, it becomes more.
Okay.
It falls in line with grandma requests, when certain people request over a certain amount of pages in a grandma,
Mhm.
they have to pay
Okay.
beyond, and this just kind of falls in line with it.
Okay. Thank you for that. I was just
Trying to cover our bases.
curious if this was a common thing or,
I sure hope not.
yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 administrative fee schedule.
Thank you, Ashley.
a second.
Who was it?
I couldn't tell.
Diane?
I couldn't tell.
Who said that? Was that Diane?
Diane said second. Yes, I seconded.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Diane. Okay, a roll call vote. LJ,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes,
Mary,
yes,
Colin, yes. Okay, thank you. Okay. We're on action item D, discussion and adoption of resolution 2024-1205 to adopt the budget for calendar year 2025. Any discussion? Any question? If not, we could entertain a motion. Oh.
Motion to adopt the budget for calendar year 2025.
Thank you, Mike. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, LJ. Okay, Jessica, you good?
Thanks for writing. It's hard a lot faster than I can write. Yes.
Okay, we'll do another roll call vote. LJ,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Diane,
yes,
Mary,
yes,
Colin, yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. So can we, what's the next step before we go back to that?
I just have a point of information. As in prior years, once the budget is adopted, we have 30 days to submit it to the state, and so I will be doing that between now and January 11th.
Thanks, Nick.
I'm gonna wait till we get closer to the end of the year, that because the format is you put in your budget and then you put in your projected actuals for the year. So I'm gonna wait until I get a little better number for projected actuals. I'll probably submit it right after the first of the year.
And a lot of times that's because if you needed to do an amended budget before the end of the year, then you would also submit that at the same time.
Thank you. And so do we need a motion to come out of this public hearing? Or we-
I think we already-
we're out of the public hearing,
Okay.
so basically. We're done. Go into future considerations and then just close out the
So we don't
regular
need to do
meeting
anything.
and. Public. I mean, it doesn't really matter, you're just closing the meeting
Okay.
at this point.
Okay, so we'll move on to future considerations. The next ACB meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, January 18th, 2025, as approved in this meeting.
But I have a calendar in front of me and it says January the 18th is a Saturday.
Oh,
Yeah,
goodness.
it's at the 15th, I think.
It's
Oh,
the 15th.
I do apologize.
Good catch, Diane.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah.
We're meeting on Saturdays now.
The new.
New thing.
So let's just go ahead and motion to close out of this whole thing, just to make it fully official.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion.
But what about our closed session? How does that fit in?
It's only if it's necessary.
I believe it is necessary.
Oh,
I
is it
think we are.
necessary?
Yeah,
Okay, well then we will motion to go into closed session.
I motion to go into closed session.
I
A
second.
second.
At 6:26.
Okay, we have a motion to go into closed session at 6:26. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. We can do that. And